Alrighty then, here we go, guys. Game number 3 between the Viper and MBL. Mongols war on Arabia, the Babadook and the Viper going at it. We've seen a series of these games in a row. If you're just tuning in on Twitch, welcome. We've seen some really nice ones. There will be some spoilers later on in this game. I'll try to avoid it for the first few seconds for people who might be watching the VOD. But yeah, this is going to get spoiled eventually. I'm going to tell you who won the first couple games. But we have Mongols v Mongols. We have the Viper coming in at 23-54. This is the battle for Norway. Two of the very best players in the game in one of the smallest population-wise countries that you can think of. Anyway, looks like we will see the Viper here in yellow. He will be crammed right up against the back of the map, which can be safe, which can be nice. Unfortunately for the Viper, it looks like he will have a lot of his resources out on the front. He's going to have his secondary stone out front. He will have his gold out front there as well. Both boars on the front. MBL does like to steal boars, so it's possible. Haven't seen him doing it as much lately. Main gold for the Viper is off here to the side. That's not so bad. I think that's something that he can certainly keep safe as this game rolls forward. Really wallable back area for the Viper, which he could eventually totally close in and maybe farm here, take this stone, who knows. Anyway, it's Arabia. It's supposed to be open. The wood lines are supposed to suck, and that is absolutely true for the Viper in this game. But relatively, he's okay. Anyway, it looks like 2 vills out on wood for the moment for Viper. Interesting number of villagers to have on your wood line, but eventually I think it's going to be 3. And I don't know if we're going to see a drush. I would doubt it. MBL at the moment has 3 villagers on wood, grabbing his boar. Purple player here, the Babadook, has his gold on the back. That has a big downhill slope here on the left flank of his base, which is a little ugly. Stone out there on the front is annoying, but the nice double back gold piles should be good for him. MBL likes to wall in 1v1s, but I don't know if he's going to get a wall up anytime soon. This is a really open map as well. Berries on the front, woodline on the front, stone on the front. The only really saving grace is this back gold pile. MBL pushing some deer at the moment, 12 villagers for each player. Deer pushing is especially important for Mongols, right? I mean, think about it. You get, let's see, where is it? Hunters work 50% faster. So not only are you getting free food without having to build farms and without having to chew up your sheep early, you're also getting an extra bonus as Mongols. Viper pushing in some deer as well. He's already grabbed 2 of his boar. Viper's deer patch is not quite so close. MBL's deer patch really close to his TC. Unfortunately, the Viper is not going to have easy deer pushes. It will take him quite some time to get these deer in. Might not mean anything, but it could actually be rather an important detail in this match. Okay, let's see. We've got MBL going to mill out on the front on his berries. For the moment, just not scouting, just pushing deer, I would think. Viper on his side of the map, also pushing deer, but like I said, a little bit more labor intensive here for the Viper. So, thanks for being here, guys. Killer B, happy to be live on Twitch here on Saturday. Feels good. I'm a bachelor right now. Chow Lucy is doing some traveling. So, yeah, I have a lot of time to stream, I guess. Okay, houses come down for the yellow player Viper. He is sending more vills out to wood. Just your normal build at this point. To get loom or not to get loom is kind of a question that is a little important here. Viper might go up without loom. Let's see. 18, 19 villagers now for Viper. He will grab loom and then go up. MBL on the other side will go up on 17 with loom as well. We saw a Mongols game earlier, not with MBL, but with Mr. Yo, where one player chose not to get loom. You know, you can get up so fast with Mongols, it's almost tempting to push the limits of what's possible. If you're up on 17 vills without loom, that would be a pretty nasty uptime. Anyway, MBL still pushing in deer. Looks like he will drop his barracks at the bottom of this hill. No real attempt to wall from MBL, even with his buildings at this point. He's just trying to get something safe. Maybe he can build a pocket area here where his villagers on wood can work with relative safety. Viper starting to come forward scouting. MBL will soon do so as well. Is he going to grab one more deer? I think there's a deer here as well if MBL wants to grab him. There's one more deer, but MBL will start to go forward. He will be feudal very soon, and one would presume he will build a stable and some scouts right away. He's actually going to send 6 villagers out to build this stable. That is how much MBL means business. He's going to be up earlier. He's going to be power building his stable. And we talked about him having that closer deer patch and how it might be a difference maker. Well, MBL is going to have scouts in the Viper's base before the Viper is really able to build any of his own. So it could actually be meaningful here that MBL is up first. You still have the chat activated. Oh, I see. Talking in the past a few minutes. Thanks for the heads up. Thank you, Ray Perch, who has been pretty successful today with his bettings. Got to give holla at a player when you see him in the street, I suppose. Double bid axe coming for the Viper. He just got up to the feudal age, and he will drop a stable of his own. Viper's going to need a spear out immediately. I mean, both players will probably build a spear right off the bat. But the Viper's got to play a little defensively. MBL is up so much earlier, and I'm sure the Viper knows that that's a big issue. Oh no, though. The Viper's going to send 2 Vils out to this deer patch. He took a risk last game that paid off. This game, it's not going to pay off, man. He is probably going to lose this Vil. Spearman is on the way. Is MBL going to commit to killing this villager? Yes, he is. So MBL will lose a couple of scouts, but he will grab a Vil. And I think that's probably worth it. He sees the Viper. He saw the Viper going out to this deer patch. And Viper is still going to go out there. I don't know. I don't know if 2 scouts is worth it for a Vil. I mean, usually 1 scout is worth it for 1 Vil for sure. But Viper here just kind of desperately wants that extra food while he can get it. MBL on his side of the map is not up by a full villager. He's up by about 3/4 of a Vil, if that's a real thing. Because of, well, you know what? He's up by a full Vil now. I thought he might have been a little inefficient with the TC, but it looks perfectly 1 villager advantage right now. Scouts still rolling out. Viper has 6 units, but a couple of those are spearmen, and a couple of those are scouts. So MBL getting an early advantage here. He earned it. Well, he had a nice deer patch, and he took advantage of that. Smart move from him. Got up very early. Power built that stable. You don't usually see players building a stable with 6 villagers. Absolute power build. Viper also taking deer in the back. Milling deer there, walled up that back area pretty nicely. Viper's got a nice little pocket here. He can continue to wall toward his TC and eventually keep himself safe. We'll see a couple quick houses here from the Viper to protect a couple of Vils, but these other 2 Vils are kind of out in no man's land. A couple more quick houses coming in, and at least for now, those Vils are safe. They're safe, but man, they're not. It's not ideal, of course, right? Like having to wall your villagers in like that is not so great, but I think it's the right move for the Viper to keep those Vils alive. For the moment, MBL with a 2 villager advantage, housed for just a second, which is kind of meaningful. Viper roaming around on the top of the map, just now getting Horse Collar. Viper's only got 4 farms because he's taken deer like a madman. Gets Horse Collar in before he seeds all of his farms on the top there. And looking pretty nice for the Viper, who's now chewed up basically the equivalent of 3 deer patches this game. MBL is continuing to build more and more scouts. At the moment, military numbers are really similar, and these 2 guys are continuing to just kind of flirt with each other. They're trying to figure out, like, is there a hole here? Can I get in here? What can I do there? Can I get a poke with my spearman? MBL's spear in this case is going to go down, but he will keep his villagers safe on this mining camp and send another one in. Viper lost a little HP there. He's going to lose a little more because he's not quite paying attention. He's actually almost lost a full scout. But in the end, it is all good in the hood. Viper's army is still alive and annoying. MBL spearmen are still roaming around as well. Right now, it is 7 scouts going forward for the purple player. He has a 4 villager advantage, and it's time for MBL to strike back. We've seen him lose the first couple games, and hopefully we can see him get one back from the Viper in this one. Grabbing wheelbarrow is Mr. MBL. He will focus down this spearman in the back without losing a scout. Viper still roaming around MBL's side, but there's nothing really to do for the Viper. MBL roams in and roams back out. 300 food, 100 gold for him. Viper's got a little more food, but a little less gold. And for the moment, it's anybody's guess who will be up first. Probably MBL, because he's 3 villagers ahead. But I don't know. Could be wheelbarrow differences. So maybe it's not such a big deal. Hey, Nim. Welcome, Nimino. Now Viper has to win or I'm out of the bank. Oh, Reaper put all of his coins down on this one. Spearman aplenty for the Viper. He'll get in a few more pokes. A little bit of idle time. MBL there still is 2 villagers ahead, maybe 2.5. Bloodlines coming in, though, for the Viper. Bloodlines is an interesting one. It's going to delay your uptime by quite a bit. It's not exorbitantly expensive, but it is somewhat expensive. Let's check. Let's check here. What's Bloodlines cost? 150 food, 100 gold. Obviously, both of those resources you need to get up to the next age, and it's going to slow you down by a little bit, but it's probably worth it if you have this many. Actually, notably, while we were looking at the tech tree, the Viper canceled Bloodlines, and now he's going to be able to click up. So the Viper there making a calculation that Bloodlines was not worth it at this particular juncture. Who's winning this game? Well, MBL's winning it so far as damage goes, as far as military goes. But the Viper is starting to really close this map in nicely. MBL is he's got a little bit more of an open map, and he still has a lot of openings. Viper sending forward some spearmen. He does love to do that. Loves to send forward those spears to kind of force your opponent's hand. This pond is still open for MBL. Keep that in mind. That could be really meaningful. Back area is open as well. Castle Age will be in first, though, for the Babadook. Who will drop a TC? Maybe here, I would guess. I mean, right now, floating actually a ton of wood. So it's probably going to be a 3 TC build for MBL. 2 stables are in, so we will see some Mongols Knights, potentially. Scale Barding Armor on the way. Mongols are one of those civs, as I said in the previous game, that you have to keep an eye on, right? Because you have some options here. You can go into camels or knights. So if you get to Castle Age first and your opponent knows you're going into knights, they can build sometimes even 1 stable camels and really hold you off pretty nicely. Viper's second stable is on the way. Looks like he may eventually close this area in with buildings. MBL scouts trying to do some damage in the transition to the Castle Age. Bloodlines is in now for both players. Both guys getting it while they went up to Castle. Viper can hold this off for now. MBL can do some really nice damage, but a couple vills from the Viper also coming into the fray might help him win this battle. We'll see. Spearman coming back for the Viper in the end. MBL doesn't get a ton done, but he's keeping the Viper busy. What's next from the Babadook? Babadook with 2 stables. It's going to be a mixture of camels and knights. Camels and knight mixture. We've seen a game already in the stream of Mongols v Mongols, so expect some monks. Expect camels and knights to be pumped out pretty quickly. Expect, 3 TCs, maybe 4. Hard to say. For now, MBL adding in a second TC, starting to come forward across the map. Viper does hit the Castle Age and grab Bosaw right away. Viper building double stable camels as we speak. +1/+1 on those. It looks like just +1 defense for MBL for now. It seems that pro players, when they build camels, they go +1/+1 instead of going immediately to +2 defense. When you build knights, you usually go immediately to +2 defense. So keep that in mind. That might be a nice, useful thing to know. I can't honestly tell you why that's better, but maybe it's because camels are already such a nice counter to knights and scouts. Anyway, MBL coming in, trying to slow down the Viper's TC, and he will do so. Probably not going to be able to deny it big time, but look at this. MBL getting a ton of damage in with his spears. Viper's first couple camels here are taking a ton of damage from these spearmen of MBL. That was a really nice decision, I think. Delayed that TC just a little bit, but also knocked a lot of these camels down to low HP. Well, knocked a couple of them down to pretty low HP. MBL will retreat for now, and he will go back home. Oh no. MBL went forward with all those spears that were defending his economy, and now the Viper is into MBL's woodline with scouts, and he's going to put down some damage. Oh boy. That open pond woodline that we were worried about turned into a kind of an annoying spot. But I think MBL kind of knew all along he was going to have an uphill battle here, playing against the top player in the game. Not the greatest starting location. For now, he's doing pretty well. 2 TCs down, a couple villager advantage. The Viper will have 2 TCs as well for the moment. 3rd town center on the way for Mr. Viper. Viper played pretty defensively last game, and we may see him do so again in this one. Suppose we'll wait. We'll wait and see. It looks like it's going to be mostly camels. Monks starting to roll out. Stone economy started up. Mangadai production will eventually be important. Last time we watched a Chinese-Mongols war on Arabia, we saw Mangadai being produced during the transition to Imperial Age and not before. No resource wasted on upgrading to even fletching until you get into the Imperial transition. So we'll see. +1 attack is cheaper than +2 defense, says Kig. Ooh, that's a really nice point. And you won't be taking arrows with camels. Kig, you are the man. That is exactly the explanation we were looking for. That sounds like absolutely sound logic to me. Thank you, my friend. That is the beauty of streaming live. You can get knowledge from people who actually know what they're talking about and not just some guy with a weird voice. 3 TCs down for the Babadook. Villager count is essentially identical. Monks roaming forward for both players. Scouts from Viper still alive. That might be the slight bonus that the Viper has militarily. MBL lost a lot of his scouts. The Viper has his still alive. TC on the front for the Viper. 4th town center is maybe going to come up. Yeah, it looks like for now that will roll in. MBL's got to be really careful because if he overcommits his cavalry, his monks are going to get sniped from behind by these scouts. Scouts are really resistant to conversion, so that could really be a problem. Non-elite Mangudai are just too weak to justify their costs as 1,000,004. Yeah, that makes sense to me. To be honest, when I play, I usually build some before, and that's just because I don't know the game as well as these guys do. But yeah, Scouts roaming in again. Oh no, MBL with nothing back at home. He does now have a camel, but the Viper's going to grab another Vill and idle some more eco, and this is a huge advantage when you're playing at the level that the Viper and MBL are. Just a couple seconds can be the difference maker. 4 monks for both players. Viper's monks seem a little bit safer. I think they may have grabbed an extra conversion. But in the end, we have a camel fest going on. Monks trying to keep each other alive here. Cross healing for the Viper. Viper will chase MBL back across the map. And in the end, the Viper will get a really good fight. That camel was trying to kill this monk the entire time, and he couldn't get it done with 3 other monks healing. Camel's not known for their damage. Only 5 damage versus a regular unit. A unit that isn't cavalry. Get a bonus versus cavalry. But it's hard for them to kill villagers, for instance. Camel raiding is kind of tricky. At the moment, MBL still does not have the damage upgrade. The Babadook here seems to have a disadvantage in the number of units that he has. Viper's got a 2 villager advantage, and he's got a 14 military advantage, so a really nice position. 4th TC for the Viper, keeping the front of his area safe. Monks doing some nice healing. MBL, unfortunately, losing a couple more monks in that previous fight. Viper's just keeping an eye on his opponent. This is a really nice thing to be doing. He may not have known that TC was there just yet, but he runs in, he snipes a low HP Vill, and runs back out. These scouts have been healed up and reused a couple times. They've run hundreds of kilometers at this point. We're watching Norwegian players, so it's kilometers. They've run many meters by now. Many meters. Looks like Castle coming up on the front for the Viper to protect his economy. MBL on the other side is just a little bit behind. Unfortunately, MBL was out early into the feudal age, and he did some good damage, but he's been behind since the late feudal age, and it's not looking great for him. His castle will come up a little later. Maybe that's not a big deal, but I would think he might be behind on resources as well. Viper with 4 more Vills is out in front for both gold and stone. So the imp time could be quicker for Mr. Viper. We'll see. MBL intensely on stone. There's still some game left to be played. The Viper's sort of going into Python mode here. Seems to be squeezing the life out of MBL. Maybe slowly. But I still think a couple good tactical decisions could swing this game. So of course we're going to hang out and wait and see how this one ends. Viper roaming in, and he's just keeping eyes on MBL. Probably not super surprised about this castle. That's a great castle location. Market coming down for MBL. May need to buy his way up. Viper will click up to Imp? Question mark? Viper clicking up to Imp? No, it's MBL who will click up first. I'm surprised by that. Viper's got the resources. He's had it for a little while, but for the moment, there we go. Imp on the way. Second castle coming for the Viper on the front, grabbing some relics as we speak. It is a 4 TC build for both players. As far as I can see, let's see, MBL's got 1, 2, 3 TCs. Where's the 4th? He has to have a 4th because he's keeping up. I think he has a 4th. Let's check. Babadook, 1, 2, 3. No, just 3 TCs for MBL. So he's been pretty efficient, I guess, keeping up with the Viper who's on 4 TCs. Villagers for the Viper coming across the map. Absolutely a naked bootleg run out toward this gold pile, but once they get there, maybe they can start to defend it. Eventually we will see more castles in this game, so maybe we'll see the Viper drop one over there. Google, wow, we do suck. Hey, Mr. Dupe, welcome. Good to see you, Dupe. Gambling is not going well, I would guess, in the chat, because people seem to be angry. Ah, Sifley's here. Hey, Sif. Sif. Let's see. At the moment, military counts are really close. Viper is up by 6, but villager counts really close as well. Imperial Age on the way, and just as we might have thought, both players starting to add in castles and Mangudai, I would think. I know the Viper is. MBL is adding in castles, and his Mangudai are starting to roll out as well. Okay, so MBL defending here for a moment. Should be able to hold this off since he has a couple Mangudai firing in from distance, but we'll see. The Viper's got a lot of monks here, actually. This could be an interesting fight. In the end, it looks like, oh, Viper will convert all 3 of those Mangudai and start sniping down Vills. MBL hits the Imperial Age first. He's going to go Elite Mangudai right away. But this was not a great fight at all for MBL. I didn't see those monks, and maybe MBL didn't notice how many of them there were either. There's a lot of monks there. Viper choosing a nice time and place for a fight, and in the end is still pushing in with these monks. Monks are regaining their mojo as we speak. I think every single one of those monks got a conversion in that particular fight. Maybe they dogpiled on 1 or 2 of the units, but we'll see. Or I guess we won't see. We can just imagine it. Elite Mangudai is coming for the Viper. Ballistics Embracer is coming for the Babadook, Mr. MBL, who will push this back. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't make it not a good fight for the Viper. Killed a couple Vills, killed a lot of military units. We'll probably get some conversions as well before these monks go down. I don't think this is the army that's going to end the game, but it's giving the Viper yet another advantage in this particular match. All right, let's see. On the Viper's side of the map, we've got Mangudai starting to roll out. He's got a 16 military advantage after taking a pretty good fight versus MBL. Both players on 100 and about 115 Vills each. Viper gets in on this back gold pile, though, and that's going to be really annoying. It's not really the villagers' lives that matter here. Villager lives matter. But it's more important that this gold pile was lost for a moment. Oh, sweet Jesus. The Viper gets 2 or 3 Mangudai conversions there. His monks are eventually going down, but they are turning out to be a real pain in the ass. In the end, the Viper will once again keep this army alive. MBL will lose some Vills, and unfortunately, the Viper will kind of have another win in the battle column. That's not a game-winning win, but if you get 5 of those or 6 of those, it starts to be impossible for your opponent to come back. Couple Trebs coming forward for the Viper. He's going to try to keep Mangudai around these units, grabbing a couple Vills from MBL there. It's going to be 5 Trebs for the Viper. Another castle on the way. Smarthy Tactics is coming. I don't know if Smarthy is still here in the chat, but her upgrade is coming in. Parthian Tactics, Leather Archer Armor on the way as well. Looks like we're going to see 5 trebuchets out for the Viper. The 90-kilogram projectiles are raining in. He knows exactly what he's doing here. I'm sure that the Viper could predict that MBL is behind on military by quite a lot. So he's going to keep MBL busy, make him clean up this annoyance in the back of his eco, and in the meantime, he's going to probably kill 2 castles. We'll see. MBL needs to do something to change the momentum of this game. He'll build another castle just maybe 2 panels away from where the last one was. At the moment, the Babadook does not have a lot to work with other than resources to build more Mangudai. Mangudai are a great unit, but it's going to be really tough for MBL to get back into this one. 15 Mangudai behind. At the moment, it is +3. MBL missing one of the defensive upgrades. Viper has them all. Ballistics on the way for the Viper. Chain Barding on the way for the Viper. It looks like he's going to use probably some Hussar, I would guess, to be a little bit of a buffer for this army. MBL doing a nice job to snipe a Treb there. That's not nothing. That will help him a lot. If he could snipe a few more, he might actually keep his castles up. Chemistry on the way for Mr. MBL. And we will see Light Cav as well. MBL taking some gold in the corner, but otherwise the Viper controls a massive swath of the map. Villagers taking stone in the middle there for the Viper, and they're doing so absolutely happily. Yeah, those monks put in some work, Mr. Dupe. They absolutely did some real serious damage. Sifley looks like GG. I agree. The only reason I would fight this out right now if I was MBL is because A, I'm a little bit stubborn, and B, if MBL can somehow get these Trebs down, like if the Viper does something stupid, he can probably try to work his way back in the game. Both guys adding in stables, both guys upgrading the cavalry line, at essentially the same time. They're both thinking about the same tactics. Viper here probably just got enough stone to get a castle, and he's going to put it on top of this hill by the looks of it. Hazar starting to roam out. Upgrades are still coming in for both players. Chemistry for the Viper, yeah, it's eventually going to be in here. MBL starting to beef up those units as well. His Mangudai will roam forward really for the first time. I don't know if MBL even knew these castles were here. And unfortunately, MBL will take a ton of damage from Castle Arrow Fire. Viper here seems to be squeezing his opponent out. Trebs will unpack on top of this hill and start lobbing in projectiles at this castle. Mangudai take down Trebs really fast, but when you have 5 Trebs, your castle goes down so quickly. Let's just watch how long in game time this will take. 45-45, the 5 Trebs unpack. The castle starts to go under fire. It's on almost half health after 1 volley. Second volley comes in, now it's almost dead. MBL is trying to repair, but if 5 more shots come in, I think it will go down. That went down in 30 seconds of game time, is that right? So the Viper here will probably lose some Trebs in retreat, losing lots of Mangudai here trying to hold the line, but gets a castle. Castles are really important. If you're producing Mangudai, Viper can produce 5 at a time. MBL can only produce 2. The trash Hazar are starting to roam in. The camels that are left over from earlier in the game are also roaming into the eco. And they are just taking on villagers who have nothing to defend them. Mangudai being pulled from the front lines from MBL to keep himself going. He does get all those Trebs. I still think it's absolutely worth it for the Viper, but notably, MBL gets every one of those Trebs. MBL will drop a 3rd castle now, and he will try to keep fighting through this game. Viper's got 4 relics. He's gotten 1.5k more gold than MBL from relics thus far this game. Huge advantage. Viper's monks are really one of the biggest difference makers in this game. He got some nice conversions, maybe one might say had RNG on his side in a couple of situations, but he also grabbed the relics and seems to just absolutely be dominating this game. Viper pushing from the top side has broken through the house wall there from MBL, still roaming into the eco, just 94 vills for the Babadook. There's kind of a point of no return, right? Like if your opponent has 124 vills and you get knocked down to like 80, it's over. It doesn't matter how good of a fight you take. You just can't stand toe-to-toe. MBL spending everything that he's got, as pro players are so good at doing. The Viper here is actually floating a lot of resources. He'll drop another castle, has a ton of gold if he wants to do other things in the late game. He certainly could. Could tech into knights if he wanted to. It'd be kind of silly at this point, but you could do it. At the moment, it looks like the Viper will mass up 7 Trebs on the front. MBL actually has 4 Trebs of his own, so he will get this castle down from the Viper. It will go down lickety-split. We'll see the Viper bring his forces from all sides back in. MBL coming in to grab 2 Trebs. Gotta say, that was a really nice engagement for MBL, but now he's got to get back and get out of dodge. Viper at the moment coming forward toward MBL's army. MBL's units are precious at the moment. Let's see. MBL clinging to a small hill, getting a good fight against the Viper. Viper's standing and trading, and I do think that's a good idea. The reason that's a good idea is that MBL can't replenish units as fast as the Viper can. So even if you kill like 2 villagers for every, or two Mangudai for every 3 that you lose, you're still kind of winning because you can keep cranking them out. Trebs roaming forward. Looks like the Viper here is going to snipe down or keep reinforcing Mangudai. MBL, though, still doing good damage. Hazar still raiding in MBL's eco. Just 76 villagers, and look at the massive exodus of villagers here from this back area. 30 idols, 70 total vills. MBL is definitely going to be hurting on resources. Viper can build a lot of trash, but that's really it. He doesn't have any stone, doesn't have a whole lot of gold either. So I think we're going to see a lot more light cav from the Viper, who's going to lose all of these Trebs. And all of a sudden, MBL, who I thought was totally GG, does breathe a little bit of life here. MBL's breathing just a little bit of life. Still Hazar in his eco. It still feels like it should be GG, absolutely, at this point. But, you know, it's hard to convince a player to give up when they have momentum, at least on one front of the battle. Hazar will run in from the Viper. They will get taken down pretty much for free. More Hazar raiding going on in the back, though. Hazar really are a game-changing unit in the late game. If your Civ can afford them, it's almost always a good idea. Nearly always a good call. People still gambling in the chat, and people still losing for the most part. 70 vills and half of them idle, says Nim. Yeah, indeed. This is not going well at all. Viper now has a bit of a buffer here with his Hazar. MBL still with a good number of Mangadai, but the Viper on 52 total units. He takes down MBL's Trebs, and MBL will give the GG. So far, we've seen a clean sweep from the Viper, winning 3 games in a row from MBL. Really nice match there. Really bad map for MBL. To be totally fair, I think he was at a disadvantage from the jump. But, you know, we've seen players pull themselves out of a bad map. It wasn't epically bad. I'm sure he wouldn't make any excuses for it. But in the end, the Viper just getting small advantages. There were a couple fights where his monks did better than MBL's monks. There were a couple of times that the Viper raided with scouts on this wood line early in the game. Those little tiny differences really added up, and really a nice, clean win from the Viper. This is Killer B. Thanks for tuning in. The Viper will win this Mongols war. Much love. Bye.